Welcome to Love and Friendship.
Oh, that's the theme?
Yes, that's the name of the show.
Oh, it is the name of the show?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay, well, so I'm going to act accordingly then.
Which one would you like?
I'll go for friendship.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, love is, love pops in, love pops out. Yeah, it's fickle, right?
It can be.
Yeah.
No, but we love each other, yes?
Well, yeah, but what does that mean? We got to deconstruct that word. I mean, like love.
This is a
even
deep show,
friendship.
folks. This is deep. We don't just say we love you, I'm your friend.
When someone says friend, you could have 40 different variations of what does friend mean. We could probably put them in categories: work friend,
Yes.
whatever this cable friend, friendly.
But I
But
consciously,
frenemy. Yeah.
we haven't been there yet, have we?
No, I mean just temporarily.
We met like almost 20 years ago,
Is that right?
I
Wow.
think. I became friends with you in part because my partner at the time, my dear Barbara Michaels, I can't quite call her a friend anymore, but we do occasionally communicate. She said, "You and Tony laugh so much, you should be friends." And we've laughed once or twice in those 20 years.
Yeah, I think we have. I
Yes,
remember. You tell some good jokes actually. Yeah.
I have good riddles for you too, if you'd like.
Do you? Well, that's gonna show me up, man. I'm just getting here.
I don't want to put you
So
down.
what is the theme tonight?
The theme is, by the way, this is Anthony Donahoe,
Yeah.
and I'm your host, Michael Coran. This is Love and Friendship. And the theme for the next hour and a half, and we know you're going to stay with us because it just been introduced to Tony, is fathers. And what I'd love to do, and Tony said it was okay before the show, but he can change his mind, is he's written an amazing book that isn't finished yet. When I tell people about it and give them the title that I suggested to you, they all love the title.
What's the name of what's the title?
Confessions of a Sperm Donor.
Okay.
They
You
all love-
gave me that title?
I gave it to you.
Okay.
Either that, I or my boss, one or the other.
Because I wrote a piece in the London Times, and the name of the piece was "Confessions of a Sperm
It
Donor."
was?
Yeah. Did you know that?
No. Then I didn't give it to you.
Well, we know that sometimes you're in all places and all times.
Oh, I thought I made that up. Oh, life. See, we're going to be honest with you on the show.
So there's an article in the London Times called "Confessions of a Sperm Donor." So how that links to fatherhood, it would be up to you, the viewer, to see that. Yeah.
And you're going to now explain from the very beginning, if you like, how you became a sperm donor father.
Right. And I would, because the story itself is a bit technical, I would like to, because it's a bit of an abyss in my life, and also in my father's life, what is fatherhood? I'd like to, maybe we could play with deconstructing that a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, even like we're going to deconstruct friend there a little while ago.
Tell our audience, as sophisticated as they are, what it means to deconstruct.
To take apart, like there's a general it's that guy whose name I won't mention, but that philosopher said to do violence to the tranquilized obviousness of things. So if something's like in a comfortable, like prejudice, if prejudice is comfortable, we could deconstruct what's really going on there, or some other category, some other comfortable perch that people have landed on and don't want to jump off and try to fly to something different.
Also help us understand what even our friendship is like, or our love is like.
Our love?
You
we have to, again, we got to define.
You admitted. It's on tape. You can now define, but the fact is there.
I thought this used to be called
That's coming up in another half hour.
Oh, so you have, I see. So on Sunday you have
2, yes. And today we have 3 half hours.
Okay, so we should filter this through love and friendship.
No, it should just be true. It will just work that way.
Okay.
So tell us if you would like.
Okay.
All of this is if you would like.
Mm-hmm.
How you decided to be a sperm donor.
Okay, good. So this might fit into love and friendship, or if that's the thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna, because we can come in from any angle. So I'll come in for that. For this next half hour, I'll come in from that angle. So I was in a relationship with someone, and we broke up. And I wasn't overly available as a person, as a partner, and after a while, after we broke up, she asked me, her friend of hers, they were starting up a clinic in Cambridge about, there was one other place around that were donating sperm, and she asked me if I wanted to donate a sperm and come in for an interview and that kind of thing. And again, it was starting up and we were figuring out the rules about it. This is in the 80s. And I thought about it for a while, and she was an ex, but she remained in touch with me, an ex-girlfriend. And I thought about it, and I went to someone for a little advice, and they said, well, think of it as sharing light. And I realized, well, I'm not in a position to raise children. I'm not in a position to be a father. I do much of my own work to do.
And by your own work, you mean working on yourself?
Well, I mean, healing my own trust issues, father to son, all that. I had just begun to explore that in a more conscious way, and I was a bit roughed up from it, I felt, and kind of working it out. And it's funny, my son, one of the folks from the, shall we put him online?
Sure.
You want him? This is from the Sperm. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Yo.
Hey, I'm on Michael's show in Cambridge.
Oh, okay.
And it's Father's Day. He was asking me about my reality on that, which is not significant. But funny, you called. We're on the show right now, so you're on air.
Oh, okay. Cool. All
So,
right.
so if I'm here for an hour and a half, so if you feel like popping, I just got in from California today, so I'm.
Yeah, I'll pop in the next hour and a half. I got something to give you.
Okay, he's next
Yeah.
to Veggie Galaxy, right? You know that place?
Yeah, I know exactly where
So we're at the studio, Alex.
In the studio.
438.
Sounds good, Mikey. All right, I'll see you both there in a little bit.
This is
Okay,
going to
thanks.
be something you're going to really look forward to. We're talking about the sperm that helped make Alex, and just coincidentally, synchronistically, Alex calls.
That is interesting.
Yes.
Because I haven't talked to him in about 3 weeks.
Yes, and now you can turn your phone off if you don't mind.
Well, it's a good thing I had it on. Right?
Yes, it's very
You don't
good.
want to see what the next thing is?
No, I don't. But I'm happy to have seen what the last thing was.
All right, we'll turn down the thing.
Okay.
I have a daughter on this process. You could call.
Yes, I doubt it, but she
All
could.
right, we'll turn that off. You want to?
Yeah.
Enough's enough, right?
Yes.
All right.
Quick move ahead. Okay, so your ex-partner
Yeah.
is talking, and you're feeling you can't.
So an ex-partner, her friend is a nurse, and they've just put together this kind of startup sperm donation and women's services, and part of it is sperm donation, and they're trying to get a few people in there to get this going, and so I agreed to come in and be tested and everything like that, and I had seen a practitioner. She called herself a personal growth consultant, and she said, think of it as sharing light, and I said, okay, and after much thought, I went in and I got tested to see if I had any diseases or whatever, and then I started giving once a week, twice a week, sometimes 3, but mostly once a week for a while, and as far as I know, 2 kids have come out of it, but there may be a lot more, but and it's optional. They could look me up anytime, but the rules were they were supposed to wait until they're 18 to look me up, and if they were interested. So I do find people that I know, that I met, and we both with each of them at a different time. We were in Ireland together exploring my.
Why don't we do this step by step? So
Okay.
you give your sperm to this clinic,
Yes, I offer my sperm to them.
and they pay you, yes?
They pay me. The deal was a kind of what do you call that stipend thing while they were starting up to see if this would work for them too. They gave me $40
For each donation.
for each donation. I would at home at the time I had crushed my leg and I wasn't walking too well. So at home I would masturbate and put the sperm in a little film canister, and then put it under my arm or in my, keeping it warm there in my crotch area, and I would keep it warm and I would go to Cambridge. It might take me an hour and a half to get to Cambridge, but I would keep it warm on the way there, and then that would be administered to the potential mothers at the clinic. I would meet someone in Porter Square, Cambridge, at a Baybanks. At the Baybanks, I would give them the sperm. They'd be in the Baybanks, give me the $40. Then they'd pop up to the sperm bank up the street. So it's all, we're all banking around each other, and that was it. And I had done that for some time.
Did you think about the children you would?
Absolutely.
And what did you think then? Do you remember?
Yes, it was kind of like unprotected sex. So a little bit displaced, but unprotected. And
were you happy, scared of what you were bringing in the world, or happy that you were?
I was happy, yeah.
Well,
I mean, I was happy and felt a bit lonely about it because I didn't know the children. But I also felt good that these most folks who at the time that were doing that could afford to raise children, and if they were doing that, they probably had a high intention around parenting.
yes.
This is something they really wanted to do, were willing to pay for and go out of their way for and take a risk. And so, and I had just written a paragraph on myself saying who I was. I didn't give them too much information, and that was basically it. And then, any more questions about that section?
So
Yep.
eventually you stopped doing this.
Yes, I stopped doing it. Yeah,
There's a lot of work for $40. An hour and a half drive.
it wasn't a drive. It was a bus and
Yes,
sorry,
yes, that's a lot of work.
a bus
Yes, and
And-
money,
to.
trains.
Thank you.
Yes.
2 trains, a train each for the kids to
Yeah.
play with, but for me to take. So
So why did you stop when you
I think
did?
our train of thought.
Yes. Why did you stop when you?
When I did, well, I think it's possible. There's awareness of flooding the bank. I mean, how many kids take and everything like that. So I think maybe it was a sense of conservatism around that. You don't want too many kids with the same sperm out there, and or you know, so it might have had something to do with that. But it felt finished for both sides at some point.
And when you stopped, did you checked the box that said your children could contact you when they're 18?
Yes, the clinic was wonderful. They called in every year. Are you sure you want to be contacted later? And I think for them there was a certain level of maybe liability. You know, they were actually probably open to me saying no, I don't want to be contacted by these kids, but I definitely wanted to be contacted with these kids if they wanted to know.
And they called you every year to ask you this question?
I believe it was every year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so were you eagerly waiting for the 18th year?
Well, I was quite aware of it coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And then tell us what happened.
Then well, it's funny, down here at JFK and Memorial Drive, up in Harvard Square area, I have this vehicle, the first one actually in Massachusetts. It's a Prius, and I'm making a left turn, and to get on Memorial Drive, and these cars were going. The first Prius was very slow, So you'd have to. So I had a messenger bicycle person coming along and expected my car to go faster than it was, and he hit me from behind, and so I stopped traffic, helped him get up and all that, and I'm thinking, wow, this guy, and he didn't have brakes, he had messenger brakes, so I guess they're used to speed and they're very good at operating, but they weren't used to a slow car like that. It would take forever to rev itself up and take a turn, the first model. So he was there right in the middle of Memorial Drive and JFK, and I'm looking at him and says, "Wow, he's probably the age of one of these kids right now. He could even be one of these kids."
Wow.
And it turned out to a sort of a nice meeting. Like, he bumped into me, but at the same time, from and I had damage on my car, and part of me didn't want to get it fixed, or I just somehow.
To keep the memory of this kid?
I don't know. It was just something from the outside coming in. Funny, I haven't thought about it this way, but it's you're just going along in your own little womb, the car, and a very slow womb, and something comes from the outside that is not in your control. So there's something from the outside, well, in this case, bumping into me. But it was a little bit from there on. It was things from the outside coming in, and with the kids and so forth. It felt like that was the beginning of things.
So you still haven't been contacted, and it's about 18 years later, right?
Well, he just turned 18 years. Yeah.
And then tell us.
I meet this kid who bumps into me, and I'm thinking. And then my son calls, who may show up. We may see later. Who said he's coming down, and.
Well, tell us what this phone call, if you can.
Yeah, so he calls me and tells me that he got my number from the clinic, who was said it was okay to call, and he had picked up my information. They had called me, and I gave them permission for him to call me, and he did. And
so you were expecting something?
Well. I think I had that's a good question. I think maybe they had done their yearly check-in.
Yeah.
And sometime after that, I had gotten the call.
So how do you feel when, give us a sense of this call. He calls and you say hello.
Well, he calls and I believe he leaves a message.
Wow.
And
the message is?
Something like, "Hello, Anthony, I believe you are my sperm donor, and let's."
He doesn't use the name father, right?
Definitely not.
Wow.
And we should deconstruct that word later. Huh?
We can, sure.
Yeah. So he says, "I believe you are my sperm donor or biological father," or something like that. He might. I think I have it written down, and.
I think it's in your article in the New York Times.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gives his name, and so he'd like to talk, or like to meet, or something. I forget at this point, and
this is on your answering machine.
It's on my answering machine.
So how do you feel?
I feel anxious. I start pacing back and forth in my living room. I feel a bit anxious. I feel like unsteady. It's a little bit like this kid hitting me from behind. It's like, what just happened? Like, life is intruding. I'm not in my own solo reality anymore. There's an other out there. Others are coming in. So I guess it was the beginning of that.
So you call him?
Well, yeah, I call him eventually. I call him.
How long does it take you to call him?
Maybe a couple hours, or maybe an hour. I had to walk up and down, and I had to process first, kind of sift in what's going on for me, how am I feeling. I felt anxious, and I couldn't settle in. So I call him, and I don't know if I forget if I got his message machine and I left him, or he may have picked up. I think he might have picked up, and So we stumbled into a conversation about, for me, I kind of, if I'm feeling a little anxious, I just jump to some action step. So the action step was to call, why don't we just go meet up in person? And we met at, I don't know if it's Green Hills, or there was a breakfast place by the Harvard Coop. It's no longer there.
And how do you feel going to the meeting?
So we go for breakfast, I think possibly the next day, and I'm feeling nervous, like this thing has been legally not challenged yet, it's kind of new, and I'm wondering...
And by that you mean...
Well, I don't know, do I owe something for technically being his father?
All right, financially?
Financially, yeah, but... Even if I didn't, the thing is strange anyway. Aside from that, the whole strangeness of meeting someone who is connected to you is uncanny. And I see this guy. He tells me that he's 6 foot, I think 3 or something, and I see this tall teenager leaning against a pole outside the news stand there next to the restaurant, across from Harvard Square Station, and I just ignore him and I go in on my own.
Wow!
Just to see, okay, make sure it's not somebody else in there, and it's him. And but I also just wanted a moment to myself to process. That's a person. I'm okay. I'm going to go in here on my own, have some boundaries between me and him, and then I decide, okay, time to go out. And I look in and I see if there's tables for us to sit down on. And I go out and I say, Alex, and Anthony, yeah, and I say it's Anthony, whatever, and I put out my arms and we hug.
Wow!
Oh yeah. So yeah, that was the initial moment.
And that felt good?
That felt good. It felt good that we hugged. Yeah.
Both of you brave to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that was it.
And then you go in.
We go in and try to get a seat. We do, and we have this harried waitress who seems to possibly be overworked, a little stressed. In a way, we were probably both feeling stressed. She just happened to maybe have had... She was, in a way, not that it had anything to do with us, but her stress represented our stress, probably. and so for some reason I had affinity for her stress. And when I wrote the article in the Times, I had mentioned her, and I think they cut her down. But her stress was like real to me, because my stress, she was showing it, I wasn't. So it felt more overt, more real.
You were trying to come across as relaxed. And,
yeah,
and did you...
Like I feel a little stressed talking about this for some reason. I don't know why.
And how does he look to you as you're somewhat stressed sitting with him at a table?
It's good because we both had beards and mustaches, and he had long hair and I didn't. But there was a similar style with the facial hair, and
were you proud? That's my boy, or is that too?
Yes, I was proud. Yeah,
I helped make this. Wow.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, on a raw material, I didn't cultivate anything. If family means culture, I didn't cultivate anything in his family.
Yeah.
He's just got the genetic predisposition, whatever, good stuff and the traumatic stuff that's been passed on. He's got that, and maybe on some level.
And so what do you talk about? Do you remember?
Well, he asked, I think there's a formal question, maybe, I don't know if they coach him at the clinic, but they ask if there's any family medical conditions that they should know about. I mean, that's a kind of, it's a specific kind of out there question. I kind of a technical distancing kind of question. So I kind of say I'm a little accident prone, but while I was talking to him, I was feeling some pain in my right foot from an accident. The time when I was donating, previous to that, I had crushed my leg, and
Falling off a scaffolding, right? While
yeah, the
painting?
scaffolding collapsed, and a couple of us fell. I was working on a house, and so without that accident, probably I wouldn't have had kids.
Because? Oh, you thought you would be able to be a more...
Well, probably, possibly the connections I had made, my healing. I had met this woman I had gone out with in a healing kind of circle of sorts. We were both dealing with our own issues, and we decided to move in together for a while. That woman whose friend, the nurse, knew about this
Yes.
clinic starting up, and yeah, it's funny. So this accident, this sort of got me in the loop of sorts.
Wow.
Because it was forced me to have to heal myself in order to walk again. I had to clear up some emotional.
It's amazing. So we have 30 seconds for this first third of the show.
Oh, cool.
So, you have any last words to give our audience? We'll be back in 3 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But we still have 15 seconds to say something if you'd like.
No, thanks for listening. This is an interesting experiment we're doing here because
Yes.
it's making me think and feel this situation.
Well, I'm appreciating it
And
even more. I know about it, but not all of this. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.